So I had this dream on October 15, which the Lord has now given me permission to share with you guys. So here it is. In this dream, I was hiding inside of a broken down building, but I was not alone. There was another person with me who was a guy, and we both were wearing white robes. And for some reason, I knew that he was a Christian like I was, and that we were both very close. But if you were to ask me if I know this guy in reality, I would have no answer to give you, much less a clue. So while we were hiding, a few people ran into the building that we were hiding and started to look around in a panic to hide somewhere as if they were running from someone. So when we both saw that, the guy who I was with grabbed my hand and we both started to run out of that building because we didn't want the people who were chasing them to find us. When we ran out of that building, we came to the realization that there were a few people that was chasing after us from behind, and that they were wearing all black clothes from head to toe. So we continued running from building to building, trying to find somewhere to hide. But most of the buildings were destroyed as if we were in a war zone. So we continued running until we found a good building to hide into, which was an apartment. Even though it had a few holes in it, it was still standing, so we decided that it was going to be the building that we were going to use. But by the time we had arrived at the entrance of that building, the people who was chasing us from behind had already caught up to us. And when they did, the one at the very front said out loud, "They can't be touched." Right after he said that, he and some of his group members ran right past us and into the very building we were planning to hide, and they started to search each apartment from door to door. We followed behind them up the stairs and ran right past them, still trying to find somewhere to hide, because what that guy had just said didn't register into our minds yet. So we both were in a state of confusion and disarray. When we had arrived upstairs, we started to look around for a room to hide ourselves into. But with every apartment door we would open, we would see that there were already people hiding inside of them, and they looked completely exhausted and frightened, as if they had been through hell and back. So we kept searching until we find an empty one. But when we were about to enter into that room, we suddenly heard a gunshot, and we were both immediately teleported somehow from where we stood to the place where the gunshot had taken place at, which was on the outside of the very building we were in. When we had arrived, we realized that it was one of the group members who was left outside that was shot. And when he fell to the floor, the black mask that he was wearing on his face fell off. And that was when I saw that he had a tribal tattoo on the right side of his face. But right after I saw that, immediately I heard a voice in my head that said, "He's a Russian." And that's how the dream ended. But right after that dream, I went into another dream. And in this dream, I was looking at a huge chart that was full of different dates. But all the dates were blurry except one. And that date was December 4th, which was the very last date on this chart, and my dream ended. Now, if you guys had been watching me for a while, I got some bad news and I got some good news for you. This will be my last video. I was just planning to name this video December 1st equal December 19. But later on, I got a revelation in my spirit that I should call it my last video and then write the title afterwards. So I believe the message is pretty clear, not just for me, but for you guys as well. So anyways, let's continue. Why is December 1st equal to December 19? This all started from a dream that Holly Two Moon had years ago. And in that dream, Jesus was playing with a Rubik's Cube. And he said to her, "Time is off by 4, 5, and 6. Now, if you were to look at the dates of the full moons from when Feast of Trumpets had started until now, you would realize that the full moon were on the dates of October 6th, November 5th, and December 4th, 4, 5, and 6. Since we now know the beginning of each month should begin with the full moon, this will mean that December 4th would be the beginning of December. And remember, time is off by 4, 5, and 6. So if we were to add 4, 5, and 6, it will leave us with 15. Time is off by 15 days. And if you were to count 15 days from the full moon, that will land you exactly on December 19, which is also the day of the new moon. Not only will it be the day of the new moon, it will also be the very same day that Three-Eye Atlas will be the closest to the earth. I hope you guys are still with me. Let's continue. So now that we know that time is off by 15 days, this will now make December 19 as the first day of December, which now means that December 22nd would now equal to December 4th, because December 19 would be considered as the first. December 20 would be considered as the second. December 21st would be considered as the third. And December 22nd would be considered as the fourth. The 4th of December. And that day will land you exactly on the last day of Hanukkah. This was the same date that was given to Brother Sedrick from the Lord. Now, recently I had another dream on the last day of November, and it was also about a brother of mine, Brother George from Rapture Ready Moon 2025. In this dream, he was within a classroom, sitting down at the teacher's desk, and he was trying to get the attention of the students within the classroom to give them a serious warning about something very important. But these kids was not listening to anything that he was trying to say. They continued to cause a ruckus within the classroom, and these kids were around the ages of 6 and 7 years old. But he continued to say, December 29, December 29, as a last warning for man. And that dream ended. Excuse me. We don't need any calculations here. The message was pretty clear, not only for me, but for you guys as well. Also, for some of you guys who had watched my first video on this channel, you would have known that I had a dream on October 14 with a guy dressed in full black, and everywhere around us was dark except for the calendar he was pointing at. And if you did not know, black represents divine judgment. But on this calendar that he was showing me, it was the month of October, and the number 24 was circled on it. He was telling me that 17 and 24 was the same thing, but there is something significant that we missed. The entire week was highlighted. Why was that? He could have just highlighted the number 24, but instead, the whole week was highlighted. Now, on our Gregorian calendar, October is considered as the 10th month, but if you were to look on the Romans calendar, the 10th month would be December, and 10 means completion and destruction. Everyone who I saw who had a dream about a calendar, it was always the month of October that they would stop at before everything goes haywire. Now, if you were to look at the date I had this dream, you would realize that it was October 14. And remember, we now know that December is also considered as the 10th month. So October 14 would be December 14 on our calendar. and December 14th is the first day of Hanukkah. So we were being given a clue of where to look at, but we had no clue of what it was. I also had another dream of that very same guy dressed in all black on November 5th. He was holding a calendar in his hand, but this calendar was completely empty, and everywhere around us was dark. And he looked at me and he said, 14. And I said, 14? And he nodded and said, 14. And that dream ended. That was another clue pointing me to look at Hanukkah, the festival of lights. But again, I had no clue. Anyways, let's focus on the week that was highlighted on this calendar. As you can see, the first thing that is highlighted here is the 19 all the way to the 25th. So if we were to apply that to December, since December is now considered as the 10th month on the Roman calendar, December 19th would be the new moon. It would also be that very day when 3i Atlas is the closest to the earth, and it will also be during the week of Hanukkah. December 25th, Christmas. Pretty obvious. Why was 24 circled? I have no clue, but we're about to find out. So my watch dates are the entire week of Christmas to December 29th, because with all these clues that was given, it means that something very significant is going to take place during that week. And if you guys did not know, Hanukkah also means God is light. So imagine if everything were to go completely dark during that week, the statement would no longer be considered as a statement. It will now become your reality. Now, please don't believe that I am a smart person with a 4.0 GPA, because I'm not. It's from watching other watchmen out there, especially Brother George from Rapture Ready Moon 2025, plus with some revelation that I would get from the Lord from time to time, that I'm able to have the knowledge that I have today. So all the credit goes to the Lord first, and then to the watchman community. If I have any other dream in the future that the Lord has given me permission to share, I will upload it in my YouTube shorts or on my community page. But other from that, I will not make a video about it. Also, December 27 will be a half moon, which represents the separation between light and darkness. And on that very day, it will make 5 months since I was saved. I was saved. 5 represents Abba Father and grace. I was saved by the grace of God, our Father who art in heaven. Thank you guys for listening. And remember, it's your girl Irene, and I'm signing out. Love you guys, and I will see you in the clouds. Goodbye. Or should I say, bye-bye.